Dave's Vault, my fellow gamers. Here we are, we're going to be talking about the disparities and joys of owning stupid expensive models. So here is what happens when someone turns 40, they're a gamer, and they have the funds to do it. We're looking at a partially built Warlord Titan there with all the bits. Now with a Warlord Titan, you get two of those red boxes. After I built most of this guy, I gave a buddy of mine one of the big boxes. You actually get one of those, the exact big box, for the Knight Porphyrion here. But I think I gave him that box as well. So, story behind this guy, turned 40, went to Disney World, and then I'm like, man, let's get a badass model, something I will never be able to get any other time. So I hooked myself up with the Warlord Titan. I didn't just get the Warlord Titan. At the time, I got everything that you can get for him. Now, since my buying of this and the video, they've released some Gatling gun thing for that Joker. But this is the creme de la creme, and I'll explain a little bit more. But so here, let's go over some bits that are unopened. We've got there the Plasma Annihilator, really sweet firearm. The Volcano Cannon, everyone has it. It's the bog standard one. I didn't feel, one's fine, yeah, give me the option, but Plasma Annihilator looks way cooler. And then here, oh, that's right, Apocalypse missile launchers. You don't see many of them armed with these. Everybody wants the laser blasters. You're doing yourself a disfavor if you spend all this money and you don't get missile launchers as well. These things are awesome looking. Very, very cool looking. Right here, probably the best hand arm option for the Warlord. The Power Fist, Power Claw. This thing is badass. Actually, probably more so are the little Gatling guns at the top. So right here, twin laser blaster, yay. That's the bog standard. Everyone sees them with the laser blaster. And then here, this is what really makes him special. The Beta Warlord Titan head. I was able to hook that up from Troll and Toad Wargaming. Shout out to them. Thank you very much, guys, for making that available at a reasonable price. And when I say reasonable price, $200 for a head component is reasonable when it comes to the Mars Beta pattern head, because the other ones, the Lucius and the Alpha, they're $60. They were $60, I should say. But that was actually a good price for a head. So what's in here is basically the skin armor pieces, and then the mounting brackets for the big blank side pieces of his arm. That's where his arm and shoulder weapon mounts go. But a bunch of that stuff is in there. I also have a really cool thing. My buddy Sean hooked me up with it, and I'll open that up and show you. All these things are basically sealed up. If you want to see them, other people are doing unboxings. I may do unboxings later on for these things when I build it, because I'm stuck with it, and I'll have to explain that later too. Anyway, let's look at this bad boy. So here's a Mars Beta pattern head, which is awesome. I haven't magnetized the top of the dome piece yet, but I have magnetized the back, and that's actually fairly difficult, especially when you're dealing with a $200 head. Most people online are trying to sell these stupid things for $400. Everything here is legitimate. I've got my certificate of authenticity. The people from China don't give you these boxes. So I have my certs, and I've got all my stuff, so this was legit. Big old honking magnet right there. Beautifully detailed head. And I like that the Knight look to it far better than the Lucius, or the Alpha. It doesn't deserve the price, to be honest. It's a piece of resin. It doesn't deserve the price. The interior is bog standard, exactly the same. I don't think I can get in there, but yeah. I left everything, like, those are like foot pedals or something, or different screens that are actually different size. So it's not like this gap translated to that, and most of it's sealed up very cleverly in there. What isn't sealed up, no, it's all pretty much hidden, which is very, very nice. Here, my one disparity, if you see in the very middle, there's a little green stuff there underneath that rivet, and that is due to putting this magnet in. I had to drill all the way in. These are very powerful magnets, and I had to drill all the way in. My drill bit has a point to it, and that is exactly where the point came in. But it was the exact point where that needed to be. It's still not very, very flush because it's a rounded surface. But with it being cut to such, see, man, it's super powerful. Let's put his dome piece back on. I will be placing a small magnet in the front here where this seam is. And it's, of course, the biggest surface area. I'll put a small magnet there and put a small magnet on the top of that, just so they click in very nicely and are secure. Because nobody wants that to fall off. It's expensive. This homeboy is actually a limited edition. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm covering the microphone. He is a limited edition pilot of this thing. He had a hose that looked goofy on one of his arms. I cut that off. Oh man, this is terrible. So anyway, he's a Forge World piece. He came out several years ago, before the I'm not going to be able to get, yeah, it's just scrawling on his notepad there. But anyway, I don't have his base done up yet because I don't know what I want to do with his base. But anyway, we'll move on more of the backstory here. So I bought this thing. I was actually heavy into 30K. A friend of mine, this same Sean guy, he wanted to play 30K. I'm like, okay, let's play 30K. So it was a bit different than 40K. Basically, you get rid of all the kids involved. All the punk kids were like, Nurgle's cool. Yeah, man, blood for the blood god, yo. And you're getting the more adult crowd, the people that can afford this trash. So that was a huge benefit to me, because I'm not down with the kids that will, flick my toy soldiers and stuff like that, and they paint with Q-tips and all that stuff. Gamer snob, yes, 100%. But that's because I take time and I do this stuff. I enjoy painting it and whatnot. But that was back in the day. Now I'm like, whatever. So anyway, long story short, my buddy was Air Force. He was deployed elsewhere, and no one else in the area played 30K. It's like, well, poop. So what I did, I downsized. I'm a minimalist, so I downsized everything. Boop, 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 boop. Sold off all the easy stuff. And thus, I am left with the hard stuff. Actually, I really love my Tawanar Supremacy suit, so I'm going to keep that guy. I just love him. He reminds me of the Mach 2 monster from Robotech. Any of you guys out there that are fans, shout out to you guys. But yeah, Robotech, it's like totally got the vibe. Some would even say that the IP might have been stolen a little bit. Not saying anything, but there it is. Of course, I love extra weapons and magnetizing and stuff, so that's why I have stuff. And I love my Knight Porphyrion, because nothing says mass destruction like the Knight Porphyrion, and he's just a beast. Arms are off and panels off, but they need magnetization and whatnot, and it's kind of a pain to get into the chassis here through the armhole. Anyway, I have acrylic rod to fix that. So I was left with this guy. Literally very impossible to sell, unless you are wanting to take a huge hit on it. I actually have it listed on Facebook Marketplace, which I will be removing, because even on the Marketplace, I was taking a $500 hit. I mean, this is no joke. I bought this guy at the low end of, it was when the British pound took a dive, before Games Workshop tweaked all of its prices for maximum benefit for them, and boo hiss to you, customer. So this is the cheapest Warlord Titan that I could have gotten, that I could have afforded, and I bought him at a perfect time for Warlord Titan purchases. So booyah to me. But I can't take a huge hit on this guy. I mean, this guy was nearly 3K. To be honest, with all of my bits and pieces here, and the special head and all that good stuff, roughly 3K. Nowadays, he would be more. He would be more. Just the legs and body part, you know, sans the head, sans the weapons, shoulders and arms and all that stuff. I think just those two bits is $2,000. So, hooray for Bidenflation. Good job, guys. Way to vote. Way to vote. Anyway, let's look at one of the disparities that I have on this. Generally, Forge World does a good job. And I suppose any company, when you increase the size of parts and increase the amount of parts, you're going to have more areas of fault. To their benefit, what little was broken when this guy was delivered was immediately replaced. No questions asked. This is like all the phone games in the world. Pay to win. You know, and I'm sorry, you bring a Warlord Titan to the battlefield and it's kind of like, yeah, I'm having fun. All of you other people are not having fun. So, it's basically a fun piece. But here's where I have the problem. Now, if you'll understand this has more pieces. This has infinitely more pieces, but it fits so good together. It's so nice. But right here is where things start to fall apart. Okay. Now, at the base, of course, I've got a giant magnet in that, and that glossy stuff right there, yeah, that's Gorilla Epoxy. Yeah, that magnet, she be in there. The rest of this model will disintegrate around that. So, if you look, the lines are pretty sweet. This gap here that's in front of us, that will be covered up by a plate that locks right into there. Man, the thing is daggone heavy, actually. How about this? Sorry for the mess, but it gets stuff done. Right here, giant plate affixes to here. That's where all the arms and the shoulder mount are. Big plate, okay? Which is nice. There we go. So all the lines in the back here, they look wonderful. Get out of there, you little crustacean. So, I have a buddy, a guy named Dave, and he has one, and down here on this base plate is where he had all of his problems. I did not have any problems here. He had massive gaps. And if you see all the pipes and stuff like that, let's see. Yeah. So this back door is a piece, and see all that? Those lines are perfect. Right into here. These lines where it matches up is perfect. It's just, it fits right. Very, very good. Very tight. Now there is green stuff along the base. There is a thin gap. Nothing that a little green stuff can't handle. There is some green stuff here, a little bit of green stuff. You can kind of see it, kind of, but nothing on this side. They just fit very well together. On my buddies, he had a fairly sizable gap down here, but all along the base plate here, it just fits very well. Very few there are no large gaps here. There are none. But where we have issue is where we go up a little bit. Kind of see sheer amount of green stuff there. Okay, here you've got this giant piece that slaps on, and my pieces are warped or something. But anyway, you can see up here, this is quite doable. This little gap here, quite doable. I can take green stuff and no problem smooth that out, sand it flush, dig out this groove, no problem. The disparity is coming back further, and I figured, it's the choosing of the lesser of evils. So I chose the back to have the bigger gap instead of the front, because the front, you're going to be looking at it, and the front does have some gapalicious gaps up here, which, with a little bit of patience, I'll be able to fix that, no problem. But you can see how it increases dramatically back here. It's insanity. Okay. So yeah, back there, this all needs smoothing and whatnot. What you're probably looking at is 2 days worth of work on the whole side, all of it for this green stuff, because this stuff doesn't dry very fast. I got mad. I was despairing over the company itself, Games Workshop and Citadel, because they were doing no badness with overcharging people and all this good stuff. People were still buying it, and here I am holding a almost 3K model, and I'm talking about overcharging. But they were doing badness and sadness. So let's do kind of pick it up. Yeah, I haven't yet smoothed and sanded, but you can see the ginormous gaps, and it's not like it's a gap that's easy to fix, because behind this gap is a void. So to fix this little bitty piece, I could shove a whole bunch of stuff in here and it would fill up the void before it fills this up. There's tricks around that, namely putting in sprue pieces and gluing those into place so that they fill in the gap behind the gap, or the void behind the gap, so to say. And that's basically what I had to do all through here, because this is just a giant cavity, and these are giant freaking gaps. So I had to put bits of sprue and whatnot inside of that, glue it into place, and then attack it with the green stuff. So, these, if anybody dealt with the models in the 90s with slip molds and stuff like that, they really feel the pain here. Okay, back here in these voids, you're going to have vents, much like you have on the top there. They're going to be these vents, and it's terrible when you put these vents in, just the gaps and stuff around these vents. What I'm going to have to do is put a big hot dog of green stuff all the way around, mash the vent in, trim off with an X-Acto the hot dog of green stuff that mooshes out, and hopefully that will be a nice smooth fit. But look at this joint here. This makes me want to cry. Yeah, you just saw my tool disappear. Oh, look at that. Oh, disappear, bro. Yeah, so so not only is that a gap from gaps, but we have a disparity here of a ledge. If you look, it's not supposed to be a ledge. this wraparound bracket piece, it's supposed to level on top, but this one is not. There's the gap, or there's the piece there. So what I'm going to have to do is resculpt this bracket to come out a bit more and come back over to where this piece is actually now overshadowed by it. And you know, there's no getting around it. It's polishing a turd. This is going to be chunkier than that side. It's just going to have to happen, because visually I have to fool myself or other people looking at it that this piece is actually going underneath here, and that this is actually a ledge to this little piece. This goes underneath it. So I have to do a lot of, and actually flat, precise sculpting too, because these are big flat parts. If you think about this versus a normal model, I mean, this is like a whole arm or a leg of something. I mean, this is a lot of surface area. So I have to do a fairly decent job. And that's why these vents aren't in yet, because I have to remedy this stuff. And with anything, you know, it gets to the point of extreme frustration that you have to deal with stuff like this. You spend thousands of dollars on a model, and you expect it to go together pretty good. You expect it to be nice. And this is not nice. This is not a nice part of the kit. So my main disparities are these top two pieces here and these back pieces. Those are my main disparities. On a whole, I think that the kit fits together pretty well. But the problem is the torso. The torso is just garbage, in my humble opinion. Now, and with anything, a house, any kind of structure, most models and whatnot, you build it from the ground up. And that's what I was doing with this piece. Is I built the base, made sure everything was nice and level. Of course, the feet were the very first things that I built. You had to make sure that they were level and stood upright, or else nothing else would, because this is a giant lump you put on top. Regardless, so you build it the bottom up, and you make sure that everything is squared off down here, and it was, and I was very, very happy with that. But when you started putting on the bigger plates and joining them up, you realized it's not all, you know, roses. There's some serious gaps. So definitely quality issues. Nowadays, I don't know if I would purchase a Warlord Titan. I mean, just for anyone, you know, even if you're into it really hot and heavy for it, because I'm sure the molds are garbage by now, unless they've done them, recast the molds themselves, you know, touched them up or something. This isn't one of the first ones. Mine is like number 716 or something like that. Mine is a fairly late in the production, and that's probably why I have these problems. I think also it might be that the guys didn't let them cool enough before they pulled them out of the molds, and they could have warped. But I mean, and when you look at the pieces, they look fine. They have the nice arch on them, but for some reason they were rocking. And it wasn't due to material. I mean, trust me, I was taking very, very gentle care with this. And it's not like I'm a kid putting this together. I'm 44. So, well, at the time I was 40. I've let this sit for many years. I let it sit for many, many years. Mostly because my disdain for the company, to be honest. Yeah, not happy with the folks that made it. But, you know, now I'm a bit over that. Now it's like, I just have to think of it as a piece in my collection and roll with it. Just continue to build it and paint it, because if I were to try to put this thing on eBay, shipping would kill me. Just like a few pieces have that I've recently put on eBay, but that's a video for a whole nother time. But shipping would kill me, and the cuts that they take, it's no longer 10% that they used to be back in the good old days. And yeah, I don't want to have to pay taxes on something I've already paid taxes on. So yes, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to keep this thing. But all these pistons were loose. They are loose because you have to keep them loose in order to position your legs correctly. Of course, big magnet. It is something else. I have to use two hands when I join the two pieces and when I take them off because it's power, serious power. But really cool pieces, and actually everything is brass rotted. That is right. This guy's legs are on point. So I have the big armor pieces here, you know, the actuating piston leg armor bits, and I didn't bother with that mold line because it's going to be covered by a big chunk of armor that fits very close. So there are things that you don't have to really attend to be honest, because armor will cover it. Yeah, that big old piece, a gigantic piece of armor covers it. But you can trust your Aunt Betty's boots that every piece that's visible, everything that is going to be seen is cleaned and sanded and just immaculate. And these little hip caps, they cover up a giant rod. Another brass rod that goes right through the hips. He's not going to go anywhere. So please do not bend. So yeah, you got all your big heavy chunky bits for the arms. But here, man, this is a cool piece that my buddy Sean hooked me up with. They don't sell these models for that price anymore. Anyway, yeah, a Tech Priest engineer. And he doesn't have a bunch of the goofy hoses and stuff on him. He's the one guy that I wanted because his backpack is small and his little weapon isn't too overly obtrusive. And what I wanted him for is yon catwalk. So there is that back part on the catwalk, and I'm gonna set his happy self right there looking out the back. You know, these things have, according to lore, Tech priests all over it, anointing it with oils and stuff, because this is basically like some kind of god. And there's a spirit inside, the machine spirit. So I'm gonna put him on the model, and he's back when they were doing really cool metals and their sculpting was on point. So this is it's not quite the golden era of GW models, but it's like almost a renaissance kind of. It's where you had the dark ages of golden era gaming, where they used to give you freebies and stuff. If you bought a unit of infantry, they'd give you the movement tray, they give you the metal bits to make the command unit. But the sculpts are kind of trash, and you get, you know, they'd only have 3 sculpts for a unit that you'd have to have 40 guys for. But in this phase of production, they were making metals still, and they made very fine sculpt metals with really, really nice detail. Super awesome models, and this is one of the super awesome models. But yeah, so I've got the fantastic bits, and where I would love to make money off of this guy, I'd love to give him to a new home. I just can't do it unless it's a local person. Yeah, because I'm not going to take the hit, and it's an extreme hit that you would take trying to sell this particular model online. You know, some of the smaller ones, the shipping won't be that bad, and the price hit won't be that bad. But when you're talking thousands of dollars, the price hit is just going to be, it's going to be painful, and you'll feel it, and you won't be a very happy person. So may as well keep it, and I guess suffer in pleasure over it. That little coil there, that's all these awesome magnets that I have to hold on all the arms and whatnot, so that, you know, I'm not a very happy pin fan or any of that stuff, because pins loosen over time, and yes, magnets will lose their magnetism, especially if they get demagnetized, but that's going to take a whole lot more time than for a pin to lose its the material that it's holding onto the pin, lose its tightness inside the hole. So I don't do that. And I saw one British guy putting this stuff together with screws and bolts. Like, okay, sure, it's gonna last, kind of. Every time you take out that screw, you're gonna remove material from, because resin is so soft, and those little ribs on that screw, every time you pull it out to change a weapon and whatnot, you're just increasing the size of that hole. Anyway, yeah, I use magnets because they cool, and stuff rotates. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this look through what I have to deal with. It may be something that I get back to. I have to settle the problems with the top before I add more weight and more items onto the torso. Before I can get to the fun stuff. I haven't even gotten to the fun stuff. That hand, man, this hand is so awesome. I mean, they're huge. Let me just show you. This is what is up. This is why you should get the missile launchers. They're just massive, dude. Yes, you put in the missiles. Yes, you do. Big old stinking nubs. A vent covers that up. But yeah, missile launcher. The pie plate template for that is just ridiculous. You could eat a turkey off of it. And there's 2 of these things in here with missiles. So, yeah. It's cool and all. I don't play the game anymore. Of course, with this one model, I could just show up and say, okay, I'm ready to play. Let's play a game. He's an army of his own. I do have, like, the Knight Porphyrion can hang out with him, but I think people would say that's unfair. And I have, like, 1 box of Marines untouched. So, yeah. I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do in the future. But I'm kind of stuck with these guys because I decided that eBay can go jump off a cliff. Yeah. And local sales, it's not going to happen. I mean, you know, I was in a particular part of my life, and Games Workshop was suffering because of what Great Britain had done to the pound. So, you know, I was able to score him for a decent price. So I may as well just keep him and suffer happily, I suppose. All right, well, you guys take it easy. And yeah, carry a laser.